Welcome back to another episode of the Between the Glass Padel Podcast. Pleased to say we're joined by Tom Murray, head of the LTA Padel, here at London Premier Padel, the first ever Premier Padel event on British soil. So first and foremost, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you very much. So let's just start with, how have you found the event so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously just getting started. So it's second day main draw as of today, although as I'm sure you have, we've been on site for probably 4 or 5 days already.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming. It really is. I've been waiting for this event for 14 years, and here we are. So it's a bit surreal. I'm happy it's obviously in London.
Yeah.
It's very central. The venue's spectacular, and we've got lots of British players in the main draw. So I'm really happy.
Yeah. So in terms of the actual venue and whatnot, is it everything you hoped it would be? Because I've not been to a P1 event anywhere before, and I walked in and I was blown away. So my background was from tennis, and I've been to lots of tennis events at the O2 Arena and so on and so forth. I thought the way it was all set up was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, the venue speaks for itself, doesn't it? It's hosted a lot of iconic sort of events previous to this.
Yeah.
Although I do believe this is the first live sporting event at this arena since the refurb.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's spectacular. I mean, I have been to other events around the world, and it's pretty random, to be fair. You could have P2s that are really, really good.
Yeah.
As good as a major, almost. So
yeah.
I think everyone's going above and beyond, especially in the first few years until they find their feet.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think that just speaks, for itself. Like in paddle, people are passionate. They want to do more than is potentially necessary.
Yeah, it's going above and beyond, like you say. So just touching on before there, you said you've been waiting 14 years. So have you been into paddle for that long?
Yeah.
Because it only come on my radar less than a year ago.
Yeah. So I'm like 22 now. So it has been that long. I discovered paddle in Spain, a long time ago. So probably 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it hadn't taken off in the UK, and ventured into that sort of the unknown.
Yeah.
Trying to form a governing body back in the day when there wasn't one.
Yeah.
Going through all the bureaucracy with UK sport essentially.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was very challenging back then, but what I actually expected 14 years ago was something like this was going to happen within a few years.
Right.
Like, because we were seeing it grow, cross borders throughout Europe. And I knew obviously what it was in Spain. So what everyone's seeing today in Spain, it was kind of at this level 14 years ago as well. So it was just strange that it hadn't taken off in the UK. I think, I could go on all day. There's a lot of reasons as to why that is, whether it's red tape, barriers, etc. But I think ultimately it's a blessing in disguise. We're going to see sustainable growth in the UK, unlike potentially a Sweden, although Sweden is kind of coming back from what happened. So I think it's just really exciting. And yes, I have been involved in paddle for that long.
Well, that's interesting because, like I say, a lot of people who are involved in paddle now, it's been very short term, hasn't it? They've just only got into the sport maybe a few years ago at longest, really. And even the paddle club owners, they're all new to the sport and everything. So I think it's probably reassuring to know that someone that's heading up that is known that the sport's been around and everything about it. In terms of obviously the event, we've been privileged to have some top British players getting wild cards into it. I presume you were impressed with the displays yesterday. I thought they all performed really well.
Yeah, really good. I mean, in the qualifying as well, all the players they gave it their all.
Yeah,
we had some close matches, some close sets.
We did, yeah.
A couple of set points from a few. And then obviously yesterday, I think we were all blown away as to the performances from our British players.
Totally.
All 4 matches yesterday. And obviously Christian was fortunate to come through and will be competing again today.
Yeah, excited to see it. Yeah, I think what I noticed with them all, obviously, and fully understandable, I think first set nerves for most pairs. The first set was a little bit nervy, but then they all grew into it and you could see the standard they could compete at. And I've done a video yesterday sort of touching on the fact that if that's where British paddle's at right now, it's in a really good place, because considering how new it is in the country for us to be able to compete at that level already.
Yeah, and I think, Amy Gibson said it in a lot of her interviews, she's only been playing 3.5 years.
Yeah, crazy.
So, I mean, it's
crazy.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
She obviously came from a tennis background, so she had that foundation. She's an athlete anyway, so a few changes here and there. It's getting the paddle bug.
Yes.
And then obviously training as much as you can and entering competitions at the right time of the year and really trying to move up the rankings.
Yeah, so for us as well yesterday, what was really sort of enjoyable to see was obviously the crowds were good for an early part of a tournament, and I think British crowds, we back our own, don't we? And it was good to see and good to witness.
Yeah, we're fortunate, right, to have 4 British wildcard matches back to back.
Yeah.
I was very interested to see where the peaks might be in terms of the crowd and the occupancy. The final match, Christian, it was slightly later on in the day, and it kind of did die down a little bit, which was unfortunate. But it was a Monday.
Yes.
Right? Sorry, Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah. But first day of the main event.
So early week. It was late. Today's going to probably be even later.
Yeah.
But being the only British match today, hopefully people come. So I don't know when this goes live, but please, we need to try and encourage people to come down.
I think, what we'll do with this will probably go out fully next week as a thing, but we'll clip bits up and we'll get clips out on social so everyone can see that and get down and support them, because it would be fantastic. But I was wondering whether the tail off of the crowd and the forum might have helped in terms of just the less pressure and just having that sort of, because like I said, the first set for everyone they all seemed a little bit like, whoa, this is incredible, a little bit overwhelmed by it, and then they all grew into it, and I think it just quietened down a little bit. But although the numbers that were there were all backing them really well, and it was still loud from that side of it. But
I think that happens at all levels of the game as
well.
Because you might get the top seeds that they're all seeds, or the top 10, 20 players in the world. They're used to this, size of a setting, the stadium, but still they've got to get used to the surroundings, the courts. There's a lot to take into consideration.
Definitely.
And you get lots of players maybe coming through the qualifying event that they've got 2, 3, 4 matches under
the
their
match
belts.
ready.
Yeah, exactly. So we were a bit nervous yesterday. I think Christian got 2 qualifiers.
Yeah.
So they did really well.
No, they did. They performed really well. I really enjoyed the women's game.
Yeah, me too.
Because I thought that's probably when the crowd peaked.
Yep.
I think that the crowd interaction was, and that second set was just unbelievable. Some of the rallies were just
brutal.
It was. The ending was brutal for them, but I thought they performed so well and showed the levels they can compete at.
We can't ask more, right? From Kat and Amy. They're going to be the role models for kids getting into the sport now,
Definitely.
Which is what we now want to see.
Yeah.
If paddle's on an Olympic journey, which I think we're all very optimistic about and wanting to see in either 2032 or probably 2036 more realistic. So we've got to get kids into this game right now. 10-year-olds have got to pick it up, and that could be our next Olympic team potentially.
Sure, yeah. Well, just touching on that then. So obviously with the LTA, what's the sort of the vision for that? Obviously to try and capitalise on this event, I presume there'll be a strategy to follow in after this week to build on that. What would be the strategy to get kids involved? Is there?
Yeah, there's nothing sort of new following this event. We've had the same strategy since we integrated paddle into the LTA. Well, first it was obviously focused on growing infrastructure. There's continued investment in the infrastructure side, but we can focus more so on participation, assure that the sport is growing in the right way. Whether that's women and girls, getting more kids involved. So there's lots of areas of development that we're focused on. I think Steve Yeardley that is reporting to me. Our LTA paddle manager. He's doing a really good job reaching out to all of the paddle venues, the national operators, to try and ensure that they're understanding more about the sport than just being focused on what might be pay and play.
Sure,
for obvious reasons, you can understand why that's the case.
Yeah,
they're trying to get that return on investment. Which can be steep in the first few years. So we're just trying to assure that venues are programming accordingly. That there's lots of coaching. It's more inclusive. And also then identifying players on the performance pathway, so we know where they are. Can we cluster players together for training? You've got workforce that also is along with that. We've got to ensure that there's enough coaches in those venues. So there's a lot at play here. It's not just infrastructure and number of courts. It's everything else that comes after that, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean that's massive, obviously, to get all that right. And I think, obviously, for paddle club owners, like you say, touching on the next generation and the kids, and yes, they can look short term and think, how do we fill this court right now? But that's not going to be the answer. The sustainability is more courts open. Those clubs who have put in the right infrastructure and community aspect and inclusivity and getting all ages and men, women, children involved, they're the clubs that are going to thrive long term. So from that investment side of it, that's when they'll reap the rewards, albeit they'll still get a quick return because the supplies needed.
Exactly. And I think importantly, it's not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
We've seen this across Europe, in Spain specifically.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas, the more venues you get, that's potentially where the price point comes down for court rentals. They're competing with rival venues, and essentially it's those venues that do have the community. They're the hubs, are the ones that really do survive and thrive, like you say. So that's important that we start educating venues for what's to come.
Well, I think the exciting thing, we've had quite a few different coaches, different people from different areas of paddle on the podcast, and one thing that keeps sort of coming through is at the moment, so relating it to other racket sports potentially, paddle at the moment's cool in Britain, and they're getting a lot of, so the coaches are saying to me, they're getting a lot of first choice picks of children, athletic children coming into paddle, as opposed to sometimes, they're picking other sports and whatnot. And I think because the parents are into it and can participate with the children, it's really helping get in top level sort of athletic children into the sport earlier. Yeah. I think it's really, really exciting to see where, because Britain, when we put our mind to it, we compete well. For a small nation, we compete well in pretty much most areas of sport, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, you said at the beginning as well when we spoke about Amy Gibson, just 3.5 years into the game.
Crazy.
But also the rest of our national players. We're very competitive on the global stage when it comes to our national team competing at World Championships or European Championships. We've done a lot with the little resources or infrastructure growth that we've seen in this country. We've come a very long way. Albeit there might have been a lot of Brits that maybe had grown up in Spain, so we kind of capitalised on the players coming over with that experience. But and obviously celebrities playing as well. It doesn't hurt.
Well, that's it, of course, because at the end of the day, you've got the next generation of paddle play for Britain, and like you say, you're going to be competing in the Olympics. At the moment, they're probably 8 to 10 years old, and to see their star footballers or musicians or whatnot participating in a sport is only going to help.
And importantly, what you mentioned there, we're not talking about tennis players. Right? We're talking about all walks of life.
Absolutely.
From different sports, anyone really can play and get into paddle.
Definitely, and I think there's so many transferable skills from different sports into it. So up in Liverpool, what I've noticed, and I've been around different areas in the country, and seen paddle, but also speaking to a lot of people from other areas, is I think paddle in Liverpool is very much a working class sport in terms of it's the footy lads that are really taken to it, if you get me. So it's very competitive. It's really appealing to sort of the late teens, early 20-year-olds, and those football skills that they've got in terms of, I've noticed, is they're brilliant off the glass. The movement, the body shape movement to move out the way to get the ball past and whatnot. So it really is exciting to see where it can go.
And because of that, the sport can grow so much more in this country. We've
absolutely.
got 1 million players now. But there's probably 78% that have come from a tennis background. You just think like all the football, the gym goers, your run clubs. Like paddle is cool now, so people getting into it, and we see that in Spain. It's not people from a tennis background, and that's the beauty of it. So it can really grow so much more.
They've just started, like you say, once they've started and grown up in paddle, and they're just using all the paddle skills that they've been and not having the bad habits from tennis.
Exactly.
Then it'll same. I'm still half volleying stuff off the back glass. It's still, since been playing since September, and I'm still half volleying everything. But no, and as a sport, obviously the participation numbers that you've touched on there, they're just going to continue to grow, because as you can literally, everyone can get involved, no matter your age, no matter your physical capabilities. You can just pick up a racket, and if 4 of you are roughly the same sort of level, you can get a game going, and it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I got into it, and I'm sure that's why you got into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's social, it's dynamic, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then the community aspect of it, and I think that's something where the sport will grow and harness is once you finish that game and everyone sits around and you build out your community. Now, I only started in September. I'm pretty much everyone I deal with now on a day-to-day basis I've met through paddle. And I play football at a decent level, play tennis at a decent level, and genuinely nothing compares to paddle in terms of that side of it. And again, we've had people touching and reaching out and mentioning, like, you know, prior to paddle, they were a little bit sort of lost in terms of having a friendship group, or, you know, the mental health side of it. There's so many benefits to the sport.
I think we noticed that coming out of the pandemic, that the need for that, right? And paddle has just, you know, been that answer for a lot of people.
Absolutely, yeah. So from obviously the LTA perspective then, is there anything in place to sort of or any set directive to grow the participation level, or is it more just organically and seeing how that goes? Or
I would say, you know, organic growth is really important. You know, it's assuring that it grows in the right way and sustainable. So, you know, there are lots of things that we can do to, whether it's promoting the sport to new audiences, and, you know, and that's part of our focus on our social media channels, which have now been launched. You know, so there's lots of little sort of things that we can do, but I think organically it's growing anyway, and obviously you're reliant upon there being enough places to play. So it's important that we do that in tandem with how many courts there are, because if we market the hell out of the sport, but then there's nowhere to play, or you've got to travel an hour and a half to your local court, it's detrimental. Right? So you've got to kind of time it accordingly. And assure that, you know, and that's why we're working with local authorities. We're doing like mapping exercises to ensure there's not so many gaps geographically around the country. And then once that's the case, we can really drive more awareness and visibility.
Well, like I say, look, it's all exciting stuff. We've absolutely loved the event so far. Can't wait to see the rest of the week. Obviously, we'll be cheering on Christian tonight, and hopefully he can bring home another win for us. Everything you guys are doing sounds like you know what you're doing. The sport's in good hands, which is good to know. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. And for all you guys, have a great week on court, and we'll catch you next time on Between the Glass Padel Podcast.